Welcome to the Pinchhitting Chronicles podcast. I am Tats. I am here with Donald and Rob, and you are watching us on Northeast Streaming Sports on Facebook and on YouTube. And the Yankees finally powered their way back into the win column. The bats were alive, the runs were plenty, and it was just the debut of Oswaldo Cabrera, Floral back in center field where he belongs, and Hicks on the bench where he definitely belonged, and. It was just one of those games, as slow as it started, you weren't sure what you were going to get. Once they got going, it was just fun baseball, and we haven't had that in a while. Herman did what he's been doing. I had no issue. Like I said, as long as the pitching isn't the problem, reason for a loss, I'm not going to complain about him. There were a couple of questionable moves through the bullpen. But we'll get into that as the episode goes on. But, Rob, what did you think of Cabrera's debut?
No, he didn't look great, but, it's his first game, so you can't really put too much on it. He looked like he was probably too excited out there. That throw to first, it wasn't a great cover by Herman, but the throw was definitely offline. Just first game jitters. You see some players come out in their first game and they just start raking, like Brett Beatty, or how do you say his name for the Mets, hit a home run. Shea Langieres from Oakland hit a home run first game. Some guys, they come out right out of the gates and just hit, but other players, they have that skittish start. But it's one game, and hopefully they don't do a usual Yankee okey doke and just sit him today. I want to see him playing every single day. But I'm not worried about it, but I do think his at-bats were a little Yankee-like because there was some uppercut swings that I saw there right out of the gate, and I'm like, they got him already. It's like he got bit by his numbers.
To be fair, that first at-bat, he was that far away from an upper deck. Unbelievable moment.
Yeah, it was the ones after that.
When he smacked, that was like, oh, my God, it was that close. Yep. So, but after that, he got a little nervous, and he was swinging at basically everything that was going anywhere near him, towards him, up, down. He was swinging at it. He's excited. But if I was to give any Yankee fan hope, that first at bat, where he came right round on that and absolutely crushed it. Unfortunately, he just hit the wrong part of the bat. If it was a sweet part of the bat, my God, that would have gone for days. So he's got power, man. He's got a nice swing, too. So I'm kind of excited. I think he's going to be good.
He did have one at-bat against Kluber. It ended up in a strikeout, but he was fighting all some tough pitches because Kluber's cutter was moving very well. And I thought that he was grinding out the at-bat, and I'm like, we haven't seen that in a while.
You don't get Corey Klubers in AAA.
No. And John and Susan made a point of that on the radio yesterday. Most people, they're coming up for their first major league game, and you get Corey Kluber. Not that he's the two-time Cy Young winner that he was, but he's a two-time Cy Young winner. That's a very big test.
And pitched a no-hitter for us last year.
Yeah. But Rob, Donald and I got into it, broke it down a little bit yesterday. What was your initial reaction when you heard about the call-ups?
I was excited because I was about time, but I feel like it's almost later than it needed to be. And I still think that they could have brought Peraza up as well. But I'm very happy that we finally are trying something different. I don't like how they pinched hit for Floral last night and then put Hicks back out there. But overall, I'm very excited that Marinaccio's back because Clay Holmes is injured. And he should stay here. Marinaccio should stay here. Hopefully we see more at-bats for Floral. He gets to play a full game, and I want to see Cabrera play as many days as possible because he's able to play all over the field. So I'm very excited. They're trying something different. It's long overdue. And let's just see if it provides that spark. They seem to have a little more energy yesterday, even though they were getting shut down again. But once the rain delay ended, they had a little more pep in their step until Chapman came in there and did his usual crap. But overall, I'm happy that they're making.
Right, let's give the people what they want. Walk-off home run. Let's not belabor that talk.
Yeah, right? And of all players, Donaldson, who's been catching so much hell on this show.
How many times does somebody hit a grand slam down 3 runs to walk it off? I think Babe Ruth's done it. Jason Giambi's done it. And Josh Donaldson's now done it. What a moment. What was everyone thinking at that moment? I know what I was thinking. I was still belaboring the Aaron Boone screw-up, putting Chapman in over Afros. I was still I was ready to come on here and let rip on Aaron Boone. But Josh Donaldson's like, no. Don't give up on us yet. Don't give up on us yet. There's still life in this old 36-year-old dog yet. And there's still life in this Yankee team yet. And a massive bat flip. Big statement. Here we go. Yankees are back. What was everyone thinking?
My first thought was they're gonna ruin this kid's debut with a loss. Yeah. I just didn't think that Donaldson is not, as much as he's been having better at bats, he's still the Donaldson that we've been watching. We haven't really seen a lot of life out of him. So it really, when he was at the plate, it was kind of like, this is not gonna go well. And he shocked us all. Like I don't think anybody was like, yeah, I saw that comment. You're lying if you said that. So I was just happy that we were finally back in the win column.
First thing I noticed was that was a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and he crushed it. And his bat speed was faster than I think I've seen it all year, and his swing was about as clean as I've seen it all year. Yeah. So that was the first thing I noticed. I said, "Whoa," because I kind of looked away for like a second when the pitch was thrown. Then I just hear the crack. I'm like, Donaldson did that? He hasn't done that all season long. That has not been there. Maybe for it's been a sprinkle here and there for like a week or a few days of a hot streak, but that was probably his best swing of the season, in my opinion. That's how good of a swing that was, because he has not been able to catch up to 97 all year. He's swinging and missing, swinging and missing, swinging and missing. He hit that. He pimped the swing. Big moment. Needed it desperately, and the Yankees need him. It's so important because they're not going to sit him as much as I want them to. They will not sit him, so it is so important. They desperately need him to start hitting that pitch again, because if he starts going on a home run streak, even if the average is lower, whatever, if he starts hitting for power down the stretch, this is so important for the team. It's freaking long overdue that he's hitting pitches like that, or at least he hit a pitch like that. But to have it come in a moment, that's probably the biggest moment of the season at this point. To come from him, that's pretty. I will tip my cap to him and give him his dues. I still don't like him, but hey, he came through, so I got to give him his props. But yeah,
did you see him embracing Gleyber Torres afterwards?
Yeah. Back, we're back.
That was awesome. That was awesome. There's some fight in this team, man.
No, let's not ignore the clutch at bat from Rizzo too. The home run to tie it. That was also a big momentum shift. That was when you started to feel like there was something going on where it was just going to be, like, all right, we might actually win this game. And I bring up that with Donaldson because if we can get, like Rob said, you could deal with the low batting average if we're going to get more clutch at bats from Donaldson, like we're getting from Rizzo. Rizzo may not have the highest batting average, but he's been coming, when Rizzo's, hitting well, he comes through with some clutch at bats. And I think Donaldson needs to kind of mirror what Rizzo's been doing.
Rizzo's been terrible lately, so that was very important for him as well. Gleyber also, because Gleyber has been terrible lately. So 3 guys that have been as bad as you can be over this cold stretch, all coming through with big hits last night. That's extremely important for the confidence of this team. If they want to start putting together some wins, at least consistent baseball from this point on, to try to erase what has been a basically month plus of bad baseball, these guys need to get hot again. And those 3 need to really, really get hot. And then you sprinkle in the new faces, and that can hopefully bring this lineup back to what it was. Getting DJ back today is going to be very, very big, and that could get Judge going. And then we've seen Benintendi start hitting again conveniently at the top of the order. His last 2 games, he's got 3 hits. We'll see if they keep him there, though. But, yeah, Rizzo, Torres, Donaldson, very important if they start hitting. I think Rizzo especially, but, man, Donaldson, I can't get that fact that it was 97 that Donaldson just kind of flicked out of the stadium. Like, he made it look like he looked like MVP Donaldson on that swing, not 36-year-old Donaldson. So, hopefully, that's my biggest thing. It needs to stay. It can't be a 1-game thing, and then we see him go 0 for 4 today with like 3 strikeouts. Can't happen.
Donald? You look like you're reared up.
What I picked up on this game was it was a seesaw matchup. It was one of those epic ball games where, when you're 4-zip down, when you add the fact that it was 1 run in, I believe, 33 innings, there was a real concern that we weren't even going to score 1 run, let alone 4, to try and tie the game. But then Gleyber Torres hit that 2-run shot, and it brought life back in the stadium. The stadium was dead. I mean, the Yankees were treating their fans to some of the worst baseball and since 2005. In fact, the worst baseball since 2005. With all these series losses in a row. Hadn't happened since Tats had hair, as I said yesterday's show. So the Yankee fans have every right to be furious. But Gleyber Torres brought life back in the stadium. And all Yankee fans don't want to boo, man. They want to get behind their team. They want to root for this team badly. That stadium is packed every game, night in, night out, doesn't matter when. And they just want to see some hope. And Gleyber gave them some hope. That 2-run shot brought a little bit of life back, but there's still some work to do. Then Rizzo with a big shot after the rain delay. You were like, okay, there could be something here. But then Gleyber Torres grounded into a double play, and then first he giveth and taketh away. I was pretty sure that double play was going to end the ball game, that the Yankees weren't going to come back at that point. I was like, he's done it. He screwed it up. What in the hell was he doing? Because it kind of sums up Gleyber Torres as a player. He giveth, then he taketh away. He does something special, and then he does something boneheaded, with a guy that can't throw a strike. He's walked the bases loaded, walked a run in, and Gleyber swings at the first pitch. And I thought that's it. This team's brain dead. This team's not smart. This team doesn't play smart. And I was pissed. But then, you know what? I was amazed at the fight because 4-3. Then Aaron Boone, for no reason at all, takes Afros out. Afros was gliding through this team. He was gliding through, man. He was just dealing. Tampa Bay couldn't get near him. That sidearm, that fastball, even though it's only 91, 92, is playing 97, 98 because of the movement and because it comes from an angle, and they couldn't get near him. And then Aaron Boone had to fix something that wasn't broken, putting in Chapman, who is renowned to have difficulty, A, coming in with runners in scoring position to start with, and B, he's been struggling anyway in high leverage spots, and then he just gives up 3 runs, and I was like, oh, this game's over. This game's absolutely done, and I was ready to let rip on Boone, but Josh Donaldson wasn't having it, man. I was still, as Rob says, I had to double take as well. I had to just rewind 10 seconds just to watch that. It was like, did he just do that? Because that was unheard of. Because Donaldson's slow swing is all year long has been kind of slow. He's been struggling to get around on fastballs, and he got around on a 97 one, up and out, and he absolutely crushed it. Couldn't believe it. What a moment! What a dramatic moment! A great moment. And I have to give a ton of credit to Josh Donaldson. for stepping up in that spot, and the Yankees for just never giving up. They were on the canvas numerous times. Yep. They could have been like, oh, we're 4-zip down and set. We've not scored a run since last Halloween. Or just give up. But no, they just kept fighting. They kept fighting, putting together good at-bats, especially when they're down 3 runs. In that situation, the crowd were pissed, and rightfully so. And, it would have been very easy, the bottom of the 10th, just to mail it in, down 3 runs. But no, they didn't. They just kept putting together quality at-bats. And Donaldson with that really special moment. I hope that this is an indicator of things to come. They pulled us back in. The fans are now back on board. The Yankee players are now excited again. Their tails are up, and we can thank Donaldson for that. This could be a game changer.
As I was saying, I was actually texting back and forth last night with the angry Albanian there, and we were saying that this needs to be a catapult. This can't just be like we were saying, already today. It can't be a one and done type win. This needs to be a catapult to really get the offense back on track. The pitching sorted itself out. Although Chapman almost gave it right back to them, but I think that was Boone's mistake, was bringing him in. You can't bring him when runners on. You can't do it. He needs clean innings. And even that you're in jeopardy of having a meltdown from him. But bringing Chapman in with runners on base, it drives me insane. You're just asking for trouble. But I think the offense looked a lot better yesterday. I'm saying we're not out of the woods yet. But the fact that they were able to come back from the game where over the last week we would have been like, all right, the 5th inning was like game over. There was no signs of life that they were even going to be able to tie the game. Never mind, take a lead. So this has to be a catapult. That's the only word I could think of for yesterday.
They can't make decisions like they did yesterday, like pinch hitting for Floral with DJ when you had Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who hasn't been hitting anything. He's on the bottom of the order, and then you pinched hit for him anyway later in the game with Aaron Hicks. So if you're pinch hitting for IKF with Aaron Hicks, what does that tell you about their trust in IKF, who's actually been pretty good in those scenarios this year? So I don't know what their thinking process is there. Falefa is, to Michael K's credit, puts the bat on the ball, whoever said it in the broadcast, because Michael K was blowing so much smoke up people's behinds last night. So someone mentioned that IKF at least puts bat on the ball, which could play in those situations better than Aaron Hicks, who doesn't.
He's not putting the bat on the ball.
He's not really doing much of anything. So that was a questionable decision. Bringing in Chapman in general is never a good idea. I said last week I never trust him, and this is exactly why. His first pitch missed, and then he just starts missing and missing. He walks everybody, and then he finally trusts his fastball. He gets a strikeout, and then he gives up that 3-run bases clearing hit, and you're just like, why was he pitching? Marinaccio looked great, which is a plus.
He did look great. Yeah.
Afros looked amazing, as Donald said, and then you had to get cute because you wanted – and then, again, Michael K is like, well, what if they keep Afros and they might pinch hit for Troy? Well, they pinched hit anyway. So even if you bring in Chapman, the other manager's going to have a chance to pinch hit one way or the other. So you might as well just kept in Afros, who gets lefties out. So if you wanted the lefty-lefty matchup, even though Afros is a righty, he's better against lefties. So I don't know what the decision-making was there. Afros was pitching well enough. You could have said, okay, give us 2 innings tonight. You don't play tomorrow. And then you could have brought in Chapman tonight in a clean inning where he's been much better. His past 9 appearances were all, if I'm not mistaken, clean innings, and he's been a lot better in those scenarios. So, again, but then you hear Michael K's using the word his resurgence. Like, he's not resurgent. He's just getting easier, clean innings, and he's throwing his fastball. And you're going to call that resurgence? He's not looked dominant. He's just looked better because he's been so bad. You're going to call that a resurgence. But then yesterday you see exactly why he can't be trusted, especially if when we get to October and we're in a close game. If you bring in Aroldis Chapman, you're asking for trouble. Guess what happened last night? Extra innings. You bring in Chapman when he didn't need to be pitching, and you got trouble. You asked for trouble, and you got trouble. He showed him who he really is. This resurgence that Michael Kay kept talking about is non-existent. You do not go to Roldis Chapman in those spots.
It's not just Chapman that worries me. It's the fact that Aaron Boone made that call also worries me. I mean, we're thinking ahead to October. I've seen nothing from Aaron Boone in October to this point for me to feel overly confident what he's going to do with the bullpen. It's not his strong suit. I think he's got other strong suits. I think he's a good communicator. I think he's got the team playing above their level, especially in the first half of the year. Obviously, second half of the year, no, not all, but first half of the year he certainly has, and I think he's pressed all the right buttons. But I'll tell you, I think his biggest weakness is his bullpen management. This has been a bugaboo of his since he first became manager. You think back to the very first playoff series against the Red Sox in his first year, and he made a bunch of bullpen mistakes that even Hal Steinbrenner called out, which is unheard of for him. And moves like yesterday just defy belief. I mean, that literally, all that did was benefit Tampa Bay. Why would you make a change that would only benefit the opposition? Tampa Bay were like, oh, thank God, I can't get near Afros. Oh, Chapman, he can't throw strikes, especially when in dirty innings. And that's exactly what happened. So the fact that he made that call in the first place, especially considering he doesn't trust Chapman, he's made it clear he doesn't trust Chapman. He's not put Chapman in any high leverage situations for about a month. To make that call yesterday was absolutely stupefying, and it's amazing that we came back and overcame Aaron Boone right there. So I am concerned that he made that call. I hope that's not something that he's going to do again, because that he can't be trusted. On the flip side, Marinaccio looked great. Let's talk about Marinaccio. He looked fantastic again. That was a big middle finger to Brian Cashman for sending him down in the first place. He looked electric last night.
No, I think Marinaccio is one of those guys we were saying needed to stay on the major league level. Sending him down was a mistake. And enough of the option stuff. We've already gone over that a few times. But when you brought him in, you're like, okay, it almost seems like a good combo for the end of the game where we had King and Holmes. I think the new duo is going to be Afros and Marinaccio. I think the two of them are pitching well enough and with enough confidence where they could be your 8-9 guys.
We have nobody else at this point, because until Holmes comes back, and if he's better from this back issue that he's not really dealing with, it's going to be – you have to have those two guys be the guys that do the job in the 8th and 9th, because you can't – and I've seen people say maybe it's time to bring Chapman back into the 9th inning. Absolutely not, because yesterday you saw exactly why he can't handle the 9th inning. He threw 9 pitches to the first 2 batters, and 8 of them were balls. So there's a Roldis Chapman for you. High leverage spot. His first time he gets a high leverage spot in a while, and he completely craps the bed. So, and Afros had 25 pitches at the time. Like, why not let him go? Get exactly. 2 more outs. If you lose with Afros, at least it tells me you're trusting him, because in normal situations, when in the playoffs, like I'm looking ahead to October here, there's not going to be a runner at second in extra innings. That rule is going to go out the window. Yeah. So if you give up a phantom run that should never have been on base anyway, are you really going to get mad at Afros? But when Chapman gives you 2 extra base runners and then proceeds to give up 3 more, that's an issue to me, because his first pitch was way outside, missing all over the place. He looks deflated. You got to give him a mound visit right out of the gate. Guess what? He's off his game. And then you got to tell him, throw your fastball. And then his fastball is missing. He's trying to take velocity off for location, but he can't locate. So what are we doing here with him? Why are we still using him? You can't trust the guy. That was my biggest issue yesterday, was they really brought him in a game that we have to win, and he was their choice. Just keep Afros in, give him the day off today, and maybe even tomorrow if you had to. But it was just so annoying that Chapman was the choice.
But that was what made it even more puzzling. It was Afros already had the pitch count up. Not that it was astronomical, but You already saw that he threw enough pitches where he wasn't going to be used in back-to-back days. So why not just let him finish it out if he's going to be, if you're going to rest him today anyway? That was the other, that was the other thing is, as far as taking him out, you're not going to use him after 20-something pitches. You're not going to use him back-to-back days. So you were better off just leaving him in, because if we would have seen if we would have lost the game with Afros on the mound, if he would have given up the runs rather than Chapman, not that we would be happy about it, but we would be able to understand the philosophy a little better of why he made the move.
Right.
Well, the last 5 minutes, I wanted to give a special shout out to Floral for the game-saving catch in center field, shoestring catch, which Hicks would never have reached in a million years. I didn't like optics-wise that he was benched right after that. I think he probably earned a third at-bat, but in fairness to Boone, DJs did step up and line a very important single, which ignited a rally. I probably would have pinch hit DJ for IKF, but I hope that they show a little bit more trust in Floral. I don't know what they're expecting from Floral in 2 at-bats, but I think it just shows that they don't really trust his bat as much as they do his defense. But that was a hell of a play, man. That was not easy, and he made a hell of a shoestring catch right there. So that saved the game, because if he doesn't make that play, if Aaron Hicks is in center field, that's 2 more runs scored, and the Yankees don't win this game.
Yeah, no, Floral, his bat is really what gets questioned the most. His defense is really not an issue. He can field the center field just as good as anybody that's already been on the major league level. So that I'm not worried about. And no, Hicks does not make that catch because Hicks doesn't know how to hustle. He can't even field a routine fly ball. We're going to expect him to make shoestring catches and die for the ball. It's not going to happen. The substitutions did not make sense, at the end of the game. I understand he didn't want to keep DJ in the game too long. He didn't want him running with his foot if he didn't have to. So I understand, like, some of the substitution moves. I mean, Hicks for IKF, like you were saying, Rob, on the broadcast, even on the radio, John Sterling's going, now, he goes, I do not understand this move. He goes, Hicks is, IKF comes through more often than not in these situations, and you're pinch hitting him for a guy that's been lost. He's like, I don't understand this at all. He goes, this would not be the move that I would make.
We had a bad day.
No, you could have pinched hit for IKF with DJ, because at least you give Floral that other shot, because they brought in Marwin Gonzalez anyway to play right field. So why didn't you just bring him in to play shortstop at the end of the game if you had to? Or you could have put him at third and put Cabrera at short. You had options, and they decided, let's use Aaron Hicks off the bench, even though we just called up somebody to replace him. Like, it just made no sense to me. Aaron Hicks has been that bad. They had to call up Floral, who they don't like very much. It's clear as day they don't like him. They called him up because Aaron Hicks has been so bad. And on the first freaking day, Aaron Hicks is replacing him in center field in the late innings. It just made no sense to me. Floral should have had that third at-bat, and you could have brought in DJ to pinch hit for IKF. You have Marwin on the bench for that reason. If you're going to keep him, I guess he's defensive replacement. But I don't like the way they treat Floral, because this has been the case his entire career so far. He's had like 40-something at-bats in his career. You can't judge a player off of that. 3 separate years of 40-something at-bats, where we saw last year when he got decent playing time, he hit.
I agree. I don't fully trust how the organization is going to treat Floral the rest of the way. But another MVP of the game, the rain delay. Thank God for that rain delay, man, because the Yankees came back a little bit more focused. I wonder what happened in the locker room during that rain delay, because they just seemed a little bit more focused. Because I'm pretty sure had the rain not fallen, the Yankees lose that game badly. But they came back more focused and made a big comeback. So thank God for their rain.
Yeah, it gave the Yankees a chance to exhale and re-examine their approach. But that is going to wrap things up for us today. Thank you for watching on Northeast Streaming Sports, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, where you pinch out your pride and play hard.